Hello beauties, I hope you're doing amazing. You all asked me to do a video reviewing brushes and we are doing that today. We're going to be talking about Singe Beauty brushes, Michaela and Glamlite's brush collection, Blend Bunny's eye brush set, and Cosmic Brushes Faux Naturel lavender handle collection. If that sounds good to you and you like these kinds of videos, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Also subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. Let's go into the video. Okay beauties, for each of these brush sets, I'm going to tell you my general thoughts about the brush set, whether I think it's a good value for your buck, which brushes I like, and which brushes I use least from these sets. The first brush set that I want to talk about is Singe Beauty. So to my understanding, Singe Beauty has only had this release of these 5 brushes in one bundle. I think you can also buy them separately as singles. I'm pretty sure everything we're going to be talking about today is synthetic. I don't think any of the brushes that I have are actual fur. So in case I forget to mention that again for every brush set, just keep that in mind. Now, when I do my eye look, I use more brushes than this. What I like about this brush set is that the brushes are very small. That really works with my eyes because I have hooded eyes, beauties. I'm sure you have noticed. By the way, this eye look I have made with Rich Romantic from Glaminatrix. If it's already on my channel, I'll put it up, but it's going to come if it's not posted already. Yeah, so I like small brush heads because I have chubby hooded eyes. So I don't even have a crease, if you all have noticed. And the reason it works is because you need to sort of create an impression of a crease. A lot of people have different eye shapes, so the type of brush you're going to be using is really dependent on your eyes. If you have a very different eye shape than I do, what I'm going to say might not necessarily work for you. A lot of people I know have a hollow space above their eyes, and honestly, I envy if you do, because I wish I had that. I have been wishing that I had that the whole time that I've been doing my eye look, because I know a lot of people take a brush and they position it in a way to go inside that hollow and it easily goes in there. But obviously I don't have that. So that kind of application would never work for me. Small brush heads work better with me because it's easier to control this dark color, and this brush set definitely has that. So I like that about this brush set. The brush that I like most in this brush set, actually, believe it or not, is this brush. So it's a small and tapered brush. A lot of brands have packing brushes, but this has a very small head, and not all brands have packing brushes with a head this size. So I really like that about Singe Beauty's brush heads. And it actually has 2 brushes that are like that. No, I'm not exactly sure why it has 2 brushes like that, not that I'm complaining. One of them has more of a domed head and the other one has more of a flat head. So how I use this, if I want to use them, I would use this for packing, and I would use this for doing my under my lash line. So the only complaint I would have about these brushes, or what I think is missing from this brush set, is a fluffy brush. The reason I'm saying that is because a lot of times I like to blend, and I do that very, very frequently. And although this brush exists, brushes that have longer heads for me are not as easy for blending. I mean, I could use this for blending, but I like something puffier than this so that I can really blend. I can use this brush in different formats, but I don't know what's the real application of this brush. So I can tell you this is my least brush in the set. So overall, I like this brush set. There could be more brushes in this set. In terms of pricing, I think the brush set is a little pricey. I think, if I remember correctly, the price is in the $50 range. Now, you can frequently get discounts. I think it goes on discount every holiday or so. I think I picked mine up for 20% off or 25% off during Memorial Day sale. Would I purchase more of this brush set? Absolutely. I like it enough to do that, but I do think you can buy cheaper brushes that will probably give you the same effect. Beauties, let's talk about cosmic brushes. These are the lavender handles. I'm sorry, they're unclean because I use them for an eye look that's already up, but you can ignore that. This collection is called Faux Naturel, and I think it came out either late last year, 2022, or earlier this year, 2023. This collection has 7 brushes in it, and it's around 25 USD. Cosmic Brushes is a UK brand, so the price, the exact price, is going to be dependent on the time you're purchasing it, I would imagine. What I like about this collection is that it's a lot easier to get a comprehensive look using this brush set compared to Singe Beauty. I pretty much always use these kinds of brushes. The smallest one usually for the outer V area, this one for the crease, and the fluffier one usually for just general blending. But I do still feel like there could be some changes to this collection. For example, this brush that is a complete flat brush, I have never used. I think people use this brush for lining the lower lash line or just lining the upper lash line or doing other funky things. That is not something I do anyway, so not a brush that I've ever used. Instead of this, I prefer to have a packing brush similar to the ones that I showed you from Singe Beauty. Something similar to that so that I could pack things, because a packing brush is missing from this collection. But I do like instead that they have a very small brush, and I think Singe Beauty also had one like this to have more control if you're doing things in your outer V area. The favorite brush in this collection for me is this one. This is a very, very small headed, super packed brush that I have used for doing my lower lash line. You can use it for lining your eyes with powder or even with cream. You can use it for the inner corner accents. You can use it for highlighting the brow bone or a variety of other things. Because it's very small, there's a lot of things you can use this for, and because it's super packed, you have more control when you're using it of where the pigment is going. So I love this brush. And then I think I already mentioned, because I've never used this, I can tell you that this is probably my least favorite brush because I don't see myself using it. In terms of price, this brush set is pretty good because it's $25-ish for 7 brushes, and I think that's a very reasonable price. Now, Cosmic Brushes is a UK brand, so if you're in the US or not in the UK, you might have to pay additional for shipping, so keep that in mind if you're purchasing this. But in comparison to Singe Beauty, obviously you're going to get more brushes for a much cheaper price. The other thing I also want to make sure I mention, now as I said, I haven't washed these, so if they're colored it's because they haven't been washed, but they do get stained. I've had that issue with any white brush head, so it's nothing unique to this brush set, but keep that in mind. If you care about those kinds of aesthetics, it could happen. Beauties, quickly mentioning that in terms of pokiness and abrasiveness of the bristles, these 2 brushes are the same level of pokiness, and I would not say either of them is pokey. Neither of these 2 brush sets is uncomfortable when I use them around my eyes, and I think I have pretty sensitive skin, meaning if something is kind of abrasive on the eyes, I would probably stop using it. I have definitely had, and in fact I still have, some Morphe brushes that felt like sandpaper on my lids and I stopped using. And I can't say the same thing for either of these 2 brush sets. I think both of them are pretty comfortable on my eyes. Let's continue with Michaela and Glamlite's brush set. I quickly checked to make sure this brush set is still available before talking about it, because it makes no sense talking about something that you can't get a hold of. This brush set is actually on sale right now for $8 and it is available. So I figured if somebody wants to pick it up during the sales or maybe even today, let me talk about it so that you can make your decision. I very much like this brush set. I find the bristles extremely, extremely comfortable on the skin, not pokey at all. The only issue I have with this brush set, and I think you can already guess, is that it's just 4 brushes. So it's not enough brushes for me to do a complete eye look. I usually use this tapered brush for packing, and then one of these for the outer V area, probably the smaller one, and the larger one for just blending. And this one, although I haven't really used it, you can use for lining the eye or doing your lower lash line, but I still feel like there aren't enough brushes for a full look. I like to use around 5 brushes, and sometimes if I'm using more colors, 4 brushes might not be enough. That's the only complaint I have about this brush set. Otherwise, I really like this brush set of Beauties, and $8 for 4 brushes is a bargain. It's $2 a brush. It's going to be cheaper than any of the other ones. In fact, you can pick 2 of these and get 8 brushes, and it's going to be cheaper than the other brush sets that I mentioned. So if I wanted to make a decision, that would be what I would go with. Do keep in mind that these also kind of get stained. I think you can see, I don't know why greens, or I'm guessing blues, kind of stain on these whites, but it is how it is. My favorite brush here, I would say, is this packing brush. I really like this packing brush, and my least favorite one is this one, because generally I use slanted brushes for using liquid eyeliners, you know, the kinds that come in a pot. That's kind of how I like to use these slanted brushes for that kind of application, which is why I've never actually used this one. But you could use this for doing your lower lash line, or, you know, lining your eyes with powder also, as I mentioned. Okay, Beauties, the last brush that I want to talk about is Blend Bunny's eye brush set. Blend Bunny has released some brushes after this also, but I don't think there's any eye brushes in the rest of their brushes that have released. And this is the only eye brush set that they have released to date. So let's talk about it. The handles of this is sort of color coordinated from dark to light, but I'm not exactly sure based on what logic, because, you know, it's not necessarily like the heads are getting bigger, because the first one is, you know, the black one has a pretty large head. So yeah, I'm not quite understanding the logic, but, you know, it doesn't necessarily matter either. This brush set is $32, so it kind of stays in the middle of the list of all the brush sets that we've been looking at today. And the head is pretty comfortable on the eye. I don't feel pokey or anything. In fact, I think this is more comfortable than the other brush sets that I talked about today. So very nice for application, and I've managed to use this for making very nice eye looks. In a lot of my videos where I use Blend Bunny palettes, I try to use this brush set to match the palette with the brush set of the same brand. So if you're trying to see application, you can look at some of my Blend Bunny videos. My only issue with this brush set has been that because it's missing certain types of brushes that I like to use in my personal application, I usually end up having to reach to other brushes when I'm using this brush set. For example, these are all round heads. There are no tapered brushes here. So if I'm trying to pack things on my eyes, you know, now I understand some people might pack with a small headed brush. That's not how I use brushes. I like a flat head, as I showed you in the other, that we have seen in the other brands I've shown. I like something like that, and you don't have that in here. Another thing is that although this is the fluffiest brush in the set, this isn't fluffy enough for me. So if I'm trying to blend a large area, I usually have to pick a fluffier brush, something like this maybe. So the head is large. So for example, a lot of times when I've put the crease color and then I've also put the outer V color, when I want to blend them, I don't just want to blend one location. I want to do full blending. So I want something a little fluffier, and I don't think this is going to give me that effect. Now, of course, the types of brushes that you like to use really depend on how you use brushes as well. So just because something doesn't work for me doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. What I like though in this brush set is that it has 3 brushes that have very small heads. So if I'm doing things in the outer V, I can really control the dark colors that I put in the outer V. I can also control colors that I'm putting in the inner corner, maybe even use them for smudging my lower lash line, smudging colors in other places around the eyes, highlighting the brow bone, or any other kind of application. So it's nice that they have some very nice smudger brushes. But as I mentioned, it is missing the packing brush. On the other hand, the brush that I use rarely is number 1, which is this one. So this one, the head kind of looks like a smudger brush, but it is longer. The bristle is longer, so I'm a little bit confused how to really use this brush. I mean, I've been using it for drawing my lower lash line. You can't really smudge it because it's long, the bristle is long, and you really can't use it for blending again because the bristles are long. So this isn't really a brush that I use very often. Okay, beauties, I hope you enjoyed this video. You all had asked me for doing a video on brushes, and I'm gonna do more videos like this if I get enough thumbs up, or if you write to me in the comments below if this is the type of videos you are enjoying. Thank you so much. I love you all. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. Have an amazing day, and until next time, bye.